This episode of The Divide will be the last episode of the year. And as we wrap up 2025, I'm taking a moment to return to the conversations that challenged us, informed us, and reframed how we think about power, accountability, and the people caught in between. Throughout this year, The Divide has sat down with voices who live these tensions every day, from Mark Clifford's reflection on press freedom and the cost of speaking out, to Chien Chi-sheng's account of pushing back against institutional harm in sports, and Simon Chang's warning that development without guardrails can reshape entire communities. Today we're sharing the moments that lingered long after the microphones were turned off, along with experts that never made it into the original broadcasts. Whether you are listening all year or you're just joining us now, this episode brings together the stories and insights that define our conversations, not as a conclusion, but as a reminder of what remains unresolved. You're listening to The Divide. My name is Arashi.
It's hard to convey how important it was. I mean, first of all, just visually, Jimmy came out of the fashion industry. He was, again, selling clothes that had to appeal to consumers. So he had a great sense for design, a great sense for color, and a great sense for as a retail marketer. Now, what does this have to do with a newspaper? Well, newspaper, you got to sell those things every day. You have to sell hundreds of thousands of days every day. And Hong Kong was an incredibly competitive retail market, newspaper market. And the first time I met him in 1993 was he was getting ready to launch Apple Daily, and he walked through as a businessman how he was going to break into this very, very crowded media market. And point number one is he had what I guess in the retail buzzword you'd say unique selling point, his USP. He was going to promote democracy. And he went through newspaper by newspaper, all his competitors, how their owners were all pulling back because they were afraid of mainland China, which was going to take over in 1997. So Jimmy, it's actually almost a classic Warren Buffett investment strategy. Buffett always liked to invest in businesses that have moats around them. So you have a castle in the center and you have a big moat that nobody can cross. And in Jimmy's case, his castle, which he knew people would want to live in or buy, the newspaper, was the democracy angle and his advocacy for democracy. And the moat was the fear that everyone else felt about the Chinese Communist Party. So in a very strange way, the Chinese Communist Party created Jimmy Lai's media empire. But I mentioned the visual part, and maybe that seems like, okay, what does selling shirts have to do with selling newspapers? Well, Jimmy's design eye is unbelievable. And he actually went on later to study with Wallace Ting, the renowned Chinese-American painter, became very good friends with him, took a few months off in Amsterdam to paint and to draw. And he's to this day, in prison, he's doing a lot of drawing. He has an unbelievable eye for color. And so he said, he's a retailer. And he said, okay, I'm going to make a newspaper that doesn't look like any other newspaper. And so other newspapers would have names like Oriental Daily or Economic Journal or Economic Times. And he said, I'm going to call it Apple. And why Apple? Because back in the biblical days, back in the day, Eve ate the first apple. And he said, that kind of started the descent of humanity, perhaps, but it also started gossip. It started news. He said, without the apple, there'd be no news. And, the logo was a bright red apple. And think about this. Every other newspaper in Hong Kong is black and white then. The New York Times was black and white. Everything is black and white. And Jimmy comes in, he gets the best printing presses in the world, these great Goss presses. Starts printing in color. He's got these big, bold graphics. He's using Cantonese language, the vernacular, which is generally spoken. They're kind of making up the characters to put them in writing. So he just brought this incredible sense of energy and vibrancy and of Hong Kongness. And Hong Kong people were really trying to find their way, their identity around as 156 years of British colonial rule ended and a new period of communist Chinese rule, colonial rule, I would say, began. And so Apple became this voice for democracy when nobody else would do it, but also a voice for Hong Kong. And let's remember, this wasn't some dull newspaper. It was horse racing. It was reviews of bordellos. It was, stock market tips. It was investigative reporting. It was paparazzi. And, there was, honestly, I'd argue there's not a newspaper like it in the world. It was a kind of a mashup. It took a U.S. context between the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal. I mean, it brought in everything, and everybody needed to read it.
That is Mark Clifford, author of the book The Troublemaker: How Jimmy Lai Became a Billionaire, Hong Kong's Greatest Dissident, and China's Most Feared Critic. The reason why I choose this interview to be included in this episode is because we have new updates about Jimmy Lai's case. On December 15th, a court in Hong Kong found Jimmy Lai guilty of conspiring to publish seditious materials and colluding with foreign forces. He has spent more than 5 years in prison now. The sentencing date is set in January. He could face up to life imprisonment. For that, he offered a platform for pro-democracy voices. I see. And the county government says Nanto's garbage piles are growing and that a self-managed facility is the only long-term solution. What is your view?
Well, it is not my view. I would say I basically collected a lot of different views. There are always way better alternatives to resolve the garbage issue in Nantou, basically. There's a better location, better way to deal with it, and better way to communicate as well. But if any of the audience here today has been watching our channel, you will see that the current Nantou County governor, they really have no intention to communicate or just make a sound argument to whoever will be affected. Just no, because we already know there are better ways to deal with the garbage problem in Nantou already. You can cut it by the source, like reduce the producing rate in Nantou. You can have a much more modern way to deal with the garbage itself. And of course, there's always that thing that you have a way more adequate location where you can build the bloody incinerator. But Nantou County government just do whatever they like, and that's a very strange thing from outside of view.
So it's not only the smoke from the incinerator that would affect tea's aroma and quality.
Not only the tea will be affected, but also the water source right beneath it will be affected. And not just the tea, because there will be the wind in the summertime, and it can blow those pollution. I don't buy those statement that there's zero emission this day because of a newer technology. I don't buy it, because all technology is operated by the person behind it or the company behind it. And from the way they are executing the entire matter, I don't think they are able to fulfill that wish of zero emission at all. And that's why that emission will affect the people, the residents in Zhanghua, like people in Eshui, like Pintoi Zhanghua, or even in Zhanghua City as well. Not only T will be affected.
If the government continues to push through the plan to build this incinerator, how do you think this is going to impact the tea industry in Taiwan?
I think the most apparent showcase here is what happened in Taichung in the past couple of days. Right now in Taichung there's an African swine fever. Yeah, that's exactly what will happen to the tea. You have the African swine fever now in the piggy community, the piggy industry. The tea will eventually become the same thing, as long as this garbage project keeps going on without actually dealing with the problem itself. The tea will eventually the value of it, the terroir will first of all be destroyed. And eventually, what if in the future the international community decide to lower the bar of the dioxin again once more. What if you really just got detected a tiny bit of dioxin in the tea, like the agriculture produced from Muzha? The Muzha already make a case. Incinerator will affect the soil and the air and to the agriculture product there. The Nantou County government has no intention to actually discuss about this matter. What they have been emphasizing is that it is just okay because what the regulations say is okay, so it's okay. That's not how you communicate a matter like this. And especially when Muzha will only affect a little teeny group of people. But this Minjian matter, what it will affect is not only the health of the population on the entire Taiwan, but also the reputation of Taiwan as the hometown, the motherland of bubble tea itself, bubble tea culture itself. That's how severe it can be.
What you just heard is tea processor Simon Chang talking about the severe impact of building an incinerator in Minjian, one of the most important locations for Taiwan's tea production. The plan to build that incinerator is ongoing. And just yesterday, Mirror Magazine, a weekly news magazine, reported that a Buddhist site in Nantou was repeatedly fined by the county government after it allowed protesters to use its site to host briefings opposing the construction of that incinerator. According to the magazine, authorities cited questionable reasons such as publishing commercial materials and violating the Air Pollution Control Act. In addition to that, Minjian Township Chief Chen Hanli has also been fined by the county government on the grounds that protest banners were harmful to the environment. Residents denounced the county government's action as political pressure and targeted scrutiny of dissenters. They said that the county government's approach resembles authoritarian tactics.
The needle? Actually, I don't afraid of the needle because I do the blood donation since when I was 18. So every 2 months I will go blood donation for 250 military. How to say it?
Millimeter?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I will do for 250. So I don't afraid of the needle, and if they tell me this could help someone, I will definitely do it because I already do the same thing. To help someone with my blood, I was so happy. I was so pleased to do it. But the thing is, the guy who took our blood, he didn't have experience and he didn't have the license, so he's illegal to doing things. When we was taking blood, just like I say, we have to took it for 2 weeks every day. So it means it's 14 times. They are not professional. So every time when the needle come into your arms, sometimes they will miss your 血管 blood tube. So they have to do it again. The highest time, I did it for 8 times. Like got the needle in my arm and they take off because they didn't hit it. And just do it again and again and again until your right hand and left hand, all the blood tube it's finished and they couldn't get blood. So they have to do from your wrist. But do you know how hurt it's from here?
Yeah, it must hurt.
Yeah, it's so hurt. They didn't get it as well. So I was like, oh my god, how many times I have to do it? That is the only time I cry for the blood test. And I go out, take a rest, and come back to the room. Do you know where the room is? The blood testing room should in the hospital, but that is not. It is in our stadium, the school stadium. So we get inside the stadium and get a needle ready again and take a blood again. Everyone was laughing. You know why? Because at the moment it's, if you don't laugh, you have to cry. That is where the optimistic come from.
苦中作乐.
Yeah, that is the words. Everyone was crying, but everyone was laughing, but also they are scaring. They're so afraid. Maybe the next one who will get 7 shot or 8 shot or them.
There's another aspect of it, which is the compensation.
Yeah.
Where you guys as student athletes are supposed to get a portion of the money from the research.
Yeah, that is true. So if you're going to do some research, you're supposed to get some money, because that is kind of reward for
compensate your.
Yes. So the money will go directly to our account. But it's not much. It's just like, how much is it? Around 400 USD.
For how many blood?
2 weeks. So it's 14 times. But you know, the experience is not just taking your blood and you can go back and rest. It's taking your blood. After that, you have to do almost 10 physical exercise. You have to sprint for 19 minutes. And you have to do a lot of tests as well. So every day you finish around 6 p.m. Start from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. every day for 2 weeks. You will get around 400 USD dollar. Every time you will go directly to our account. But our coach say, the money is not going to you. You should return it to me for the team. So every time we got money, and the next day you will return it, go to the team. So we didn't get the money.
There are so many layers that's wrong with this approach. Not only did you not get the money, you didn't even
agree. Yes, that is true. We didn't agree. We didn't know what we should do and when we can stop it. Agree is the first. We didn't know what to do is the second. And the third thing is we didn't get the money. That is the thing happened in the past 7 years.
That's Chien Chi-sheng, whistleblower and victim of the NTNU's illegal human experiment, in which female football players at NTNU were forced to give blood for 7 years. At the end of our interview, I asked Chien Chi-sheng if there's anything that she would like to add. And this will be the very last on-air clip for this episode.
We're just like living in a cave, and we didn't know what is real outside until I get out of the cave, like Perotto. Perotto used to say, if you everyone like living in a cave. We are looking at the shadow. We never go out. The first one go outside of the cave. He will see the real world, but also he will very get hurt because theirs is too shy and his eyes was burning. But that is the way to get into the truth. After that, he will come back to the cave and tell other people, wow, outside is real, here just a shadow. When it succeeds, it's the second people, the third people, they start thinking, well, maybe he's right. Maybe here is a cave. That is kind of success. I'm doing the first thing. So I hope everyone will hear my voice and start to think, is here is right thing? or outside that is the real thing.